Welcome to Numismatic Vault, the channel where coins aren't just spare change, they're hidden treasures waiting to be found. In today's video, we're diving deep into the world of rare and valuable state quarters. Some of these coins are worth far more than you'd ever imagine, and the best part, they could be sitting in your pocket or coin jar right now. So get ready, because by the end of this video, you might be looking at your change in a whole new way. So on. Top 1. Today we're diving deep into the history, design, and hidden value of a remarkable coin that you might still stumble upon in everyday change, the United States of America State Quarter from New Hampshire, released in the year 2000. Now, you may be wondering, how can a simple quarter be worth anything more than 25 cents? Well, the truth is, certain rare examples of this New Hampshire quarter have become prized treasures among collectors, not only because of their design but also because of the rare errors and conditions that can make them worth thousands of dollars. Stick with me until the very end, because I'll reveal just how much one extraordinary example of this quarter has sold for. The New Hampshire quarter was part of the legendary 50-state quarters program that the U.S. Mint launched in 1999. This program ran for 10 years and became one of the most successful coin series in American history. Every state was honored with its own design, giving collectors and everyday people alike the chance to celebrate the rich history and culture of the United States through pocket change. When it was New Hampshire's turn in the year 2000, the Mint chose a design that perfectly captured one of the state's most famous natural landmarks, the Old Man of the Mountain. This granite rock formation, found in the White Mountains, resembled the profile of a man's face and became a symbol of New Hampshire pride. On the reverse of the coin, you'll see the rugged profile of the old man carved into the mountain, with the state motto, "Live free or die," boldly displayed beside it. The words, "Old Man of the Mountain," are also inscribed, along with the year 1788, marking when New Hampshire ratified the Constitution and officially joined the Union. Sadly, the real-life Old Man of the Mountain collapsed in 2003, just 3 years after this quarter was released, making the coin design even more significant. Today, the coin not only celebrates a piece of natural history but also memorializes a landmark that no longer exists. This adds an emotional and historic layer to its collectability, because the design can never truly be recreated in the same way again. Now let's talk about why this coin is so special for collectors. The New Hampshire quarter was minted in huge numbers at both the Philadelphia Mint, which produced coins marked with a P, and the Denver Mint, which used a D mint mark. The San Francisco Mint also struck proof versions, both in clad and in silver, for collectors. While hundreds of millions of these quarters were made, not all are created equal. Some came out of the mint with striking errors, while others have survived the past 2 decades in flawless, uncirculated condition. These are the examples that collectors chase after, and these are the ones that can sell for small fortunes. One of the most exciting aspects of this quarter is its minting errors. Collectors are always on the lookout for error coins, because each one is unique, and in many cases, the mistake makes the coin much rarer than a standard issue. With the New Hampshire quarter, some of the most notable errors include double die obverse coins, where elements of the design appear to be doubled because of a misaligned die engraving. On these coins, you might notice doubling in the lettering, such as in the words, "Live free or die," or around the date. There are also off-center strike errors, where the design is not aligned properly on the blank planchet, resulting in part of the coin's surface being blank. These off-center strikes are dramatic and visually striking, making them very desirable to error collectors. In some cases, coins were struck on the wrong type of planchet altogether, such as being accidentally struck on a planchet meant for a dime. These types of wrong planchet errors are extremely rare and valuable. Another area of interest for collectors is condition. The majority of New Hampshire quarters entered circulation and quickly picked up scratches, nicks, and signs of wear from everyday use. While these coins are still fun to keep, they generally don't have much value beyond face value. However, uncirculated examples, those saved directly from mint rolls or bags, have the chance to achieve very high grades when certified by professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC. Coins graded in mint state 67 or higher are especially sought after, because only a tiny percentage of coins survive in such pristine condition, and let's not forget proof coins. The San Francisco Mint produced special proofs with mirror-like fields and frosted details. The silver proofs, struck in 90% silver, are especially beautiful and popular with collectors. While most proofs are affordable, perfect condition proofs or those with unique characteristics can sometimes bring impressive prices. What makes the New Hampshire quarter truly exciting is how all these factors, design significance, historical symbolism, error varieties, and condition rarity, come together. This isn't just any state quarter. It's a coin that tells a story about American history, natural heritage, and the unexpected treasures that can still be found in everyday change. So, why does this matter to you? Because you could still come across one of these quarters in your pocket, a coin jar, or a forgotten roll of state quarters sitting in a drawer. And if you're lucky enough to spot an error or find one in near perfect condition, you might just be holding a coin worth thousands. Now, for the part you've been waiting for. Among the rarest and most valuable examples of the New Hampshire state quarter from 2000, with dramatic mint errors or in flawless uncirculated condition, collectors have paid as much as $88,000. Yes, you heard that right, $88,000 for a single quarter that originally cost only 25 cents. That's the thrill of coin collecting. An ordinary piece of change can turn out to be an extraordinary treasure. So the next time you get change at the store, don't overlook the quarters. Check carefully, especially if you spot the New Hampshire state quarter from the year 2000. Look closely at the details, watch for doubling, off-center strikes, or unusual planchets, and pay attention to the coin's condition. You never know, you could be holding one of the most valuable state quarters in existence. Top 2, we're diving into one of the standout coins from the famous 50 state quarters program, the Ohio state quarter released in the year 2002. At first glance, it may look like just another quarter in your pocket, but don't be fooled. This coin carries not only historical importance but also the potential to be worth thousands of dollars if you have the right one in your collection. Let's start with the design, because the Ohio quarter is one of the most symbolic in the entire series. On the reverse side, you'll find an astronaut standing proudly in the foreground, representing Ohio's crucial role in America's space history. Why an astronaut? Because Ohio has given birth to more astronauts than almost any other state, including John Glenn, the first American to orbit the Earth, and Neil Armstrong, the first person to walk on the moon. Behind the astronaut is an outline of the state of Ohio itself, with a small star marking its capital, Columbus. The coin also features the famous Wright Flyer airplane, paying tribute to the Wright brothers, who were from Dayton, Ohio, and who invented the world's first successful airplane. At the top, you'll see the words, Birthplace of Aviation Pioneers, tying together Ohio's contributions to both the skies and outer space. The combination of aviation and space exploration makes this coin especially beloved among collectors and history enthusiasts. It's not just a quarter, it's a miniature tribute to human innovation, exploration, and the spirit of discovery. Now, let's talk about mintage. The Ohio state quarter was struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with hundreds of millions of coins released into circulation. The San Francisco Mint also produced clad proof and silver proof versions for collectors. With so many made, you might wonder, how could any of these coins possibly be rare or valuable? The answer lies in two key areas, condition and minting errors. First, condition. The vast majority of these coins entered circulation, meaning they were used for everyday transactions, buying groceries, paying tolls, getting change from a vending machine. That constant handling quickly wears down the details, leaving scratches, nicks, and faded designs. Coins in circulated condition are usually only worth face value. But a small percentage were saved directly from mint rolls or bags, and these coins sometimes survive in pristine, uncirculated condition. When such coins are professionally graded and achieve mint state 67, 68, or even higher, their value skyrockets, because only a tiny fraction of the total mintage remains that flawless, second, minting errors. This is where things get really exciting for coin collectors. Error coins are created when something goes wrong during the striking process at the mint. With the Ohio quarter, there are several types of errors that collectors hunt for. One of the most dramatic is the off-center strike, where part of the design is missing because the blank planchet wasn't properly aligned with the dies. Another is the double die error, where details like lettering or parts of the astronaut's suit may appear doubled, giving the coin a distinctive and valuable look. There are also coins that were struck on the wrong planchet entirely, for example, a quarter design struck on a nickel or dime-sized blank. These wrong planchet errors are extremely rare and can be worth huge sums. Another interesting error seen on some Ohio quarters involves die cracks or die breaks. These are raised lines or blobs of metal that appear where the die itself began to crack or break during use. While not as dramatic as a wrong planchet strike, these die cracks can add unique character and collectability to a coin. Each error is essentially one of a kind, and that uniqueness is what collectors are willing to pay big money for. Now, if you're a coin lover, here's why this coin is so fascinating. The Ohio quarter represents not only state pride but also America's history of innovation. It celebrates the courage of astronauts who risked their lives to explore space and the genius of the Wright brothers, who gave humanity the power of flight. When you hold this coin, you're holding a tribute to both earthbound and celestial pioneers. Combine that with the thrill of finding a rare error or a high-grade survivor, and it's no wonder why this coin has become such a standout in the State Quarter series. So, what should you look for if you come across an Ohio State Quarter? Start with the condition. If the coin looks like it just left the mint yesterday, with no scratches, no wear, and strong, sharp details, it could be worth sending in for professional grading. Next, check for errors. Look closely at the lettering, especially birthplace of aviation pioneers, for signs of doubling. Examine the rim of the coin for off-center strikes. And pay attention to the overall size and weight, in case the coin was struck on the wrong planchet. Even small details can make a huge difference in value. And now, for the part you've been waiting for. While most Ohio quarters are worth only face value, rare examples, particularly those with dramatic errors or in flawless uncirculated condition, have shocked collectors at auctions. Some of these coins have been valued at as much as $85,000, yes, you heard that right, $85,000 for a single Ohio State quarter from the year 2002. That's the magic of coin collecting. A simple piece of change, something most people overlook, can turn out to be an incredible treasure. So, the next time you're handed a quarter in change, don't dismiss it. Check the date, examine the design, and look carefully for errors or unusual features. You might just discover that one special coin hiding in plain sight, waiting to change your life. Top 3. I'm going to take you on a journey into the wild, rugged beauty of the great state of Alaska with the 2008 Alaska State Quarter. At first glance, you might see it as just another coin from the famous 50 State Quarters program, but as you'll soon discover, some of these coins can be worth far more than their face value. In fact, the most exceptional examples of the Alaska State Quarter have sold for a staggering amount of money, and you won't believe just how high the price can go. Let's begin with the design, because that's where this coin truly shines. The reverse side features a bold and dramatic image, a mighty grizzly bear, Alaska's iconic animal, standing in a rushing stream with a freshly caught salmon clamped in its jaws. Above the bear, you'll see the guiding North Star, a nod to Alaska's motto, the Great Land. Beneath the design is the year Alaska entered statehood, 1959, and of course, the word Alaska itself proudly displayed. This image captures the untamed wilderness, survival, and strength of America's largest and most remote state. It's more than just a picture, it's a symbol of the wild frontier spirit. The obverse of the coin carries the classic portrait of George Washington, just like the rest of the quarters in this series, but collectors always look for sharpness of detail, clear luster, and an absence of scratches or marks. The crisper and more flawless the image, the more desirable the coin becomes. Now let's talk about how many were minted. The Alaska State Quarter was struck in huge numbers at both the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. Additionally, the San Francisco Mint produced both clad and silver-proof versions for collectors. With hundreds of millions of these quarters made, you might assume that all of them are common. And in many cases, yes, you can still find Alaska quarters in your spare change. But here's where things get exciting, not all coins are created equal. Some carry rare minting errors, and others survive in such pristine condition that they become treasures worth hunting for. When it comes to condition, grading plays a huge role in value. Coins are graded on a scale, with circulated pieces typically holding little premium value. But uncirculated examples, especially those with a mint state grade above MS 65, can bring in serious money. At the very top of the scale is mint state 70, a flawless coin. These are extremely rare because even the smallest imperfection can prevent a coin from reaching this perfect grade. For Alaska quarters, finding one in such condition is like striking gold. Now let's move on to mint errors, which are every collector's dream. Errors are mistakes that happen during production, and they can transform a regular quarter into a prized collectible. With the Alaska State Quarter, several errors have been reported, and these are the ones you'll want to keep an eye out for. First, there are off-center strikes. These occur when the coin blank is misaligned during the striking process. Depending on how far off the strike is, you may see parts of the design missing or shifted toward the edge. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the higher the value of the coin. Another fascinating error is the double die. This happens when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly, causing a doubling effect on the design. On Alaska quarters, doubling can appear on the lettering such as Alaska or the Great Land, and sometimes even on details of the bear or the salmon. Doubling errors are highly sought after because they're unusual and visually striking. Then there are wrong planchet errors, which are among the rarest. This type of mistake occurs when a coin intended for one denomination, such as a nickel or dime, is struck with the quarter design. These errors are extremely scarce, and when they surface, they can bring huge sums at auctions. Collectors also look for die cracks and die chips. These are caused by wear and tear on the dies that strike the coins, resulting in raised lines or blobs of metal on the finished coin. While minor die chips might not add a fortune in value, dramatic die cracks or noticeable chips in key areas can make the coin stand out and catch the attention of collectors who prize unique pieces. What makes the Alaska quarter even more interesting is its symbolism. Alaska is known as the last frontier, a land of glaciers, vast wilderness, and powerful wildlife. The bear and salmon on the coin reflect not just the natural resources of the state, but also its deep connection to survival and self-reliance. That cultural and symbolic depth makes this coin a favorite among collectors who value more than just rarity. They value the story behind the design. For many coin enthusiasts, the Alaska quarter also carries sentimental value because it was one of the final coins released in the state quarters program, which ran from 1999 through 2008. This program ignited a wave of coin collecting across the country, drawing in millions of people who started saving these quarters from their change. The Alaska quarter marked the end of an era, and for collectors who built their sets coin by coin, it holds a special place. So if you happen to come across an Alaska State quarter, take a careful look. Is it shiny, sharp, and free from scratches? That might mean it's uncirculated and potentially valuable. Do you notice any doubling in the letters or unusual raised marks in the design? That could indicate an error. Does the coin appear strangely shaped or incomplete? That could be an off-center strike. Every detail matters, and a careful eye could spot a coin worth much more than pocket change. And now, for the big reveal. While most Alaska State quarters will only ever be worth 25 cents, the rarest examples, those with dramatic mint errors or preserved in nearly flawless condition, have shocked collectors and sold for truly incredible amounts. Believe it or not, the most valuable examples of the Alaska State quarter from 2008 have been valued at as much as $83,000. Yes, $83,000 for a single quarter. That's the power of rarity, condition, and collector demand. It's proof that treasures still exist in everyday change, just waiting to be discovered. So, coin lovers, the next time you're handed a quarter, don't overlook it. Take a closer look, because you never know when you might stumble upon a tiny piece of Alaskan wilderness that could change your collection, and maybe even your fortune. Top 4. We're diving into the story of one of the most fascinating coins from the United States 50 State Quarters program, the Utah Quarter, released in 2007. At first, it may look like just another 25-cent piece, but as collectors know, certain examples of this coin can be worth far more than pocket change. By the end of this video, you'll see why some Utah quarters are worth serious money, and why one in particular has been valued at an incredible figure. You'll hear at the end. Let's start with the design. The reverse of the Utah State quarter features something truly special: two locomotives facing each other with a golden spike between them, commemorating the completion of the first transcontinental railroad at Promontory Summit in 1869. That moment symbolized unity, progress, and the linking of the nation from coast to coast. The inscription reads, "Crossroads of the West," a phrase that perfectly describes Utah's importance in American history. The golden spike is more than a small detail, it represents triumph, ambition, and the transformation of a young nation. On the obverse side, as with all state quarters, you'll find the portrait of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. But don't be fooled, collectors often overlook this side. Sharpness of detail in Washington's hair, cheek, and lettering are all key indicators of a coin's grade. Coins with perfect luster and no scratches or bag marks can rise dramatically in value. Now, let's talk mintage. Utah quarters were struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints in massive numbers, hundreds of millions. San Francisco also struck proof versions, including both clad and silver proofs, intended for collectors. With so many in circulation, you might assume that all Utah quarters are common. And for most people, yes, they are. But in coin collecting, rarity doesn't always mean few were made. Instead, rarity comes from condition, errors, and the survival of coins in pristine, untouched states. That's exactly why some Utah quarters are worth far more than face value. So, what should you look for? First, condition is everything. Coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC on the mint state scale can fetch far higher prices if they are in the top ranges. Mint State 65 is considered very choice, Mint State 67 is outstanding, and Mint State 70 is flawless perfection. Imagine a Utah quarter in flawless condition, it's a collector's dream, and that rarity is where the high values come into play. Now, let's dig into errors, because this is where the real excitement begins. Mint errors are mistakes that occurred during production, and they can transform an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. One of the most dramatic errors seen in Utah quarters is the double die. With doubling, parts of the design look like they were struck twice slightly off alignment, creating a shadow or doubled effect. This can appear in the wording Utah, 1896, or even in the details of the locomotives and the spike. Such errors are very collectible and can raise the value significantly. Another error to watch for is off-center strikes. When the coin blank isn't properly centered, the design comes out shifted, with part of the quarter missing its design altogether. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the rarer and more valuable the coin. Wrong planchet errors are another category. This happens when a quarter design is accidentally struck on a coin blank meant for another denomination, like a nickel or dime. Because this error is so unusual, these pieces are considered extremely rare and highly valuable to collectors. There are also die cracks and die chips. Over time, the dies used to strike the coins can wear out or even break slightly, leaving raised lines or extra blobs of metal on the surface of the coin. Some Utah quarters show die cracks running across the locomotives or chips near the lettering. While not every small chip adds great value, larger or more visible cracks can make a coin unique enough to attract serious collector interest. Another fascinating aspect of the Utah quarter is its historical significance. Remember, this was one of the later coins released in the 50-state quarters program, which started in 1999 and ended in 2008. By the time the Utah quarter came out, millions of Americans had already joined the collecting craze. Families, schools, and casual collectors were searching their change daily, hoping to complete the entire set. That widespread popularity means coins from these final years carry a special sense of nostalgia. They remind collectors of a nationwide hobby that brought people together. The design itself also carries deep symbolic weight. The Golden Spike ceremony was one of the most important events in 19th century America, literally connecting the East and West coasts through rail. Utah, known as the Crossroads of the West, was the perfect state to showcase this achievement. That symbolism adds to the appeal of the coin, making it more than just metal. It's a piece of American history in your hand. Now let's imagine this. You're checking your pocket change, and you spot a Utah quarter. At first, it seems ordinary. But when you take a closer look, you notice doubling in the lettering or a strange off-center strike. That discovery could mean you've stumbled upon a rare mint error worth far more than its face value. Even better, if you were lucky enough to find a Utah quarter in pristine, uncirculated condition straight from a bank roll or mint set, you might have a treasure on your hands. Collectors today are willing to pay top dollar for these rare examples. Most circulated Utah quarters will stay at 25 cents, but those rare pieces in flawless condition or with dramatic errors have shocked the coin collecting world. And now, for the part you've been waiting for, the highest known values for the Utah State Quarter. Believe it or not, some examples have been valued at as much as $81,000, yes, you heard that right, $81,000 for a single quarter from 2007. That's the kind of money that can change your life, and it's hiding in a coin many people overlook every day. So the next time you get change back at the store, don't dismiss those quarters. Take a closer look. You never know when you might find a Utah State quarter with the potential to turn pocket change into a small fortune. Top 5. We're turning our attention to one of the more fascinating coins in the United States quarter series, the Guam quarter, released in 2009. At first glance, it may look like an ordinary coin, but certain examples of this quarter are rare, valuable, and have caught the attention of collectors all over the world. By the end of this video, you'll understand why some of these coins are worth thousands, and you'll discover the exact staggering price that the rarest example has reached. Let's start with the background. The Guam quarter was part of the District of Columbia and U.S. Territories quarter program, which followed the wildly successful 50 state quarters program. While the state quarters honored each of the 50 states, the 2009 series gave recognition to Washington, D.C. and the 5 U.S. territories, Puerto Rico, Guam, American Samoa, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and the Northern Mariana Islands. This means the Guam quarter has the distinction of being part of a smaller, shorter series that often gets overlooked by casual collectors, making it even more special to those who know the hobby well. The design of the Guam quarter tells a powerful story. On the reverse side, you'll see an outline of the island of Guam itself, a latte stone pillar which is an ancient symbol of the Chamorro culture, and a flying prow, a traditional sailing vessel that represents the deep maritime history of the people of Guam. Together, these symbols celebrate the resilience, heritage, and identity of this Pacific island. The inscriptions include Guam and Guahanai Tano Man Chamorro, which translates to Guam, land of the Chamorro. This makes the coin stand out because it not only celebrates geography but also language and tradition. On the obverse side, the coin bears the familiar portrait of George Washington, the first president of the United States. But don't be quick to dismiss it, this side is equally important for grading. Every small scratch, mark, or loss of luster can affect the coin's overall condition and, therefore, its value. Now, let's talk mintage. The Guam quarter was struck in 2009 at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with proof and silver proof versions also minted in San Francisco. Although millions were produced, keep in mind that high mintage doesn't always mean low value. What matters most to collectors is condition and rarity caused by errors. And the Guam quarter has a reputation for both. So, what makes some Guam quarters worth far more than 25 cents? Let's dive into the exciting world of mint errors and high-grade examples. Point 1 of the most desirable errors for Guam quarters is the double die error. In these cases, parts of the design, such as the lettering, the island outline, or the details of the prow, appear double. These doubling effects happen when the die shifts slightly during the striking process. Collectors love dramatic doubling because it's easy to see and makes the coin unique. Another error type is the off-center strike. Imagine a quarter where the design is shifted to one side, leaving part of the blank planchet exposed. The more dramatic the off-center, the higher the value. A small shift might raise interest, but a large, eye-catching one can be worth serious money. Then there are wrong planchet errors. This occurs when a quarter design is accidentally struck on a coin blank meant for another denomination, such as a dime or nickel. These are incredibly rare and can turn an ordinary Guam quarter into a once-in-a-lifetime find. Die cracks and die chips are also common types of errors. These occur when the dies used to strike the
नाले उत्ते
coin
ना
start to wear down or
thumbnail
break,
बनाता करो
creating
कि
raised
उत्ते
lines
old
or
is gold
blobs of
किसी ने
metal on the
लाता
surface of the
किवें
coin.
भैंजो बंदे भी नहीं ने
Some Guam quarters show die
पुराना
cracks
जमाना
across the island outline or
सोना
near the
है
lettering,
चांदी
and while minor cracks are interesting, larger or unusual ones can really catch a collector's eye, but rarity doesn't stop at errors. Condition is equally important. A Guam quarter pulled straight from circulation is unlikely to be worth more than face value, but if you find one in mint state condition, meaning it looks brand new, with sharp details and no scratches, it could be
नाले
worth
उत्ते ना
much more.
thumbnail बनाता करो
Professional
कि
grading
क्या ना उत्ते
services
old
like
is gold किसी ने
PCGS or
लाता
NGC
किवें भैंजो
evaluate
बंदे भी नहीं
coins on the
ने
Sheldon scale, which ranges
पुराना
from 1
जमाना
to 70.
सोना
A
है
coin
चांदी
graded mint state 65 or higher is considered very desirable, and examples that reach mint state 67 or 68 are rare. Imagine a Guam quarter graded mint state 70, which is flawless perfection. That's the kind of rarity collectors dream about. Another reason the Guam quarter stands out is its cultural importance. Unlike most coins that feature only English
नाले उत्ते ना
inscriptions, this coin
thumbnail
proudly
बनाता करो
includes the
कि
Chamorro
क्या ना उत्ते
language.
old is gold किसी ने
That
लाता
makes it
किवें नहीं
unique
किवें
not
भैंजो
only in
बंदे भी
terms of
नहीं ने
design but also in its
पुराना
representation of a
जमाना
living culture.
सोना है
Collectors
चांदी
often seek coins that tell a story, and the Guam quarter does exactly that. It's not just metal, it's heritage, history, and identity captured in a small piece of art. Now picture this: you're sorting through your change after a trip to the store, and you see a Guam quarter. At first, you think it's just another coin, but then you notice something unusual. Maybe the lettering looks doubled, or the
नाले उत्ते ना
design is off-center.
thumbnail बनाता करो
That's when
कि
your
क्या ना
heart
उत्ते
skips
old
a
is
beat,
gold किसी ने
because you
लाता
realize you
किवें
might be
किवें
holding
भैंजो
a
बंदे
rare
भी
mint
नहीं ने
error worth thousands of dollars. Over
पुराना
the
जमाना
years, rare Guam quarters
सोना
have sold
है
for
चांदी
extraordinary amounts. While most examples will always be worth 25 cents, the rarest and most pristine ones have shocked the coin collecting world. And now comes the part you've been waiting for, the highest value recorded for a Guam state quarter. Believe it or not, one rare example has been valued at an astonishing $78,000. Yes, you heard that
नाले उत्ते
correctly.
ना thumbnail बनाता
$78,000
करो
for a
कि
single
क्या ना
quarter
उत्ते
minted in
old is gold किसी ने
2009.
लाता किवें नहीं किवें
That's the
भैंजो
kind of
बंदे भी नहीं
discovery
ने
that can turn pocket change into
पुराना
life-changing
जमाना
money. So, next
सोना
time you get
है
change back,
चांदी
don't ignore those quarters. Check closely, because you never know when you might come across a Guam quarter that's far more than just 25 cents. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the story of the Guam quarter. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another adventure in the world of rare coins. Keep
नाले उत्ते
collecting,
ना
keep searching,
thumbnail
and
बनाता करो
remember, the
कि
next
क्या ना उत्ते
valuable
old is
treasure could
gold किसी ने
already be in
लाता
your
किवें नहीं
pocket.
किवें भैंजो बंदे भी